Hi, and welcome to The Leader's Edge: how to sharpen your competitive advantage and make a positive impact in your organization and community. Today, Georgia and I are kicking off season 5 with our stellar guest, Karen Rose.
Yay!
And many of
Good
you,
morning. Good morning. Thank you for
morning, Karen.
having me.
Morning. Oh, good afternoon. So many of you would know him already. And before I let Georgia introduce him properly, let me ask you
More like good
this.
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Yes, 11 hours, right?
Mhm.
Yes. So before we introduce Karen properly,
Yeah, correct.
let me ask you all this question. With all the changes that you've been observing in the world, increasing geopolitics, economic instability, wars, AI, automation, climate change, do you think your skills are being retired?
Hmm.
So put your number in the comments on a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 means yes. And if your job is on the line or you think you need to reskill, listen to us today. Georgia, let's introduce our guest and get the ball rolling.
Thank you so much, Emily. Good morning. This is our first show for 2026. So we should have some balloons and some things going up. Say, yay, Happy New Year. And it is even more special because our very first guest for 2026 is the famous Karen Rose, this digital strategist who has been going all over the world. And Karen not only talks about what he does, but he actually models what he teaches to people. So let me tell you a little bit about Karen. Karen is a digital strategist, and you'll see that there on the screen. He's a media personality. You've seen him on TV, you've seen his articles in the newspapers, and he's a digital nomad. So for some of you who have no idea what that means, he's going to tell us about that this afternoon. This morning. It's morning for us and afternoon for him.
Night.
And it's night. Yes, it's 6 o'clock in the evening for him. And Karen will be
7
helping
p.m.
us. And he continues to help Caribbean entrepreneurs and business people build their digital presence. He helps them to monetize their platform. And he also taps into global opportunities. He helps people to do that as well. So, where's Karen from? Karen was born in Trinidad. He grew up in Canada. Some of you might hear that little accent. They say he's Trini, but I'm still not sure if he's real Trini. So he was born in Trinidad. He grew up in Canada. And the next thing we're going to be hearing now is that he's going to be speaking Thai language, because he lives in Thailand. So Karen is a true practitioner who teaches by doing. And that's one practical thing for us as adult learners. He teaches by doing. And you may see that he hosts the Digipreneur FM podcast and the Digital World and on Freedom 106.5 FM. And he shares his insights weekly in the newspapers. So he's a lecturer and a speaker. And it is our pleasure to have Karen on this morning. And you've seen our topic that says, are your skills being retired? Karen, you're nowhere near retirement. Talk to us about skills and which ones are popular now and which ones you think are going on the blink.
Well, first, let me start off by saying thank you for having me. And of course, it's a pleasure to be here. And as you mentioned, Georgia, I'm a digital nomad. So I'm actually doing this interview in Hong Kong right now. So I'm just my plane starts boarding in like 30 minutes. So we're doing this on the go. We're doing this on the go. But this is the world that we live in today, where what is an office, right? This is
Mhm.
work. This is still work. So even though we're not in a physical office, as long as you have a device, whether it's your laptop, your tablet, your phone, and you have an internet connection, you can still connect
Mhm.
and you can still work. And that's really what the essence of being a digipreneur is. A digital nomad is really just being able to do your work from anywhere. So, if you could
Mhm.
work from home, you work from home, but the ability to work from anywhere now
Mhm.
opens you up to the world of possibilities. So the question of, are your skills being retired and what is popular? If we look at, and I like to use this as a baseline reference, Emily, you mentioned it earlier, the World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs report for 2025.
Right.
report states that there are 75 million job titles that are on the way out, and over the next 5 years, we're going to see about 180 million new job titles come on stream. So when you
Mm-hmm.
think about that, there are many job titles that are on the way out over the next
Mm-hmm.
couple of years because the technology, machine learning, automation, robotics, these things have all accelerated into hyperdrive. So I'll give you a good example, right? We in the Caribbean often look at the US as kind of like our benchmark for where the world is at, but we need to be looking more to the east, which is the reason why
Yes.
I ended up moving out to the east to actually see where everything is, starting from, right? So
Mm-hmm.
a good job that is on the way out, probably altogether in 2026 in China, is the postman. Now,
Yes.
we in the Caribbean would be like the postman. The
Wow.
postman is the last job that would ever get retired because who is going to bring our mail to us?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you something, right? So here in China, they actually, that's all autonomous for the most part now. A lot of it is autonomous. So I've had the privilege of going to companies, a big popular company like JD's e-commerce platform, right? World renowned JD's. We went to their head office out in China, and JD's picking and packing. So all of the products and goods is all done by robots, right? The humans really just ensure that the right packages are going where they need to go. But
Mm-hmm.
the deliveries, they're all done by autonomous delivery trucks. So a
Wow.
human, so robots will pick and pack. A
Yes.
human will verify that the right autonomous vehicle has exactly what it's supposed to have. So there's still
Uh-huh.
human oversight, but then the trucks actually are autonomous and they drive all over the country delivering all the goods. So when the delivery truck comes to your house, you would
Mm-hmm.
just come downstairs, punch in your PIN number on the delivery truck, and out comes your specific goods.
So everything is
Wow.
self-driving, self. You just have to you
Yes.
pull in your pin, and you get
Yes.
your stuff.
You
And we
get your
are
stuff.
so far away from that.
Yeah, yeah. We are very like, yeah, beyond the
Yeah.
way in the Caribbean. But it is amazing to understand where the world is heading. And yeah, for us to,
And let me just stick a pin on that, where the
yeah.
world is, because this
Yes.
is their daily life.
Yeah,
This is
where the
their
world
daily
is
life.
and where we're probably heading, maybe.
But
Why
guys,
is
I'm
the
still
question?
stuck in
Go ahead.
my track, right? I'm still picturing our mail carrier here in Trinidad with the bag over his or her shoulder and the umbrella walking in the sun, dropping off my mail. That's where we are.
Well, yeah, and then we have all the other delivery guys who drop off the shipping,
Yes,
the stuff that
yes,
we get that shipped.
yes.
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
still seeing my mail carrier with the bag and the umbrella. So there we go. So that's one that we have to think
So
about. But let's go into the
so that
corporate world
so
now, Karen.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk to us
So
about some of those because we all sit
r-
feeling that we're in our cushy jobs and everything is fine and dandy.
so I think how people need to think about AI in the use of corporate is AI right now is automating tasks, right? So whenever
Mm-hmm.
we think about artificial intelligence and we think about job titles, our first thought is always, no, AI can't replace us. But what AI is
Mm-hmm.
replacing is tasks. And what is your job? Your job is a portfolio, a collection of tasks designated to that. So
Right.
when AI starts to chip away at task by task by task, as a business, you as a business owner are going to be looking at that particular task and say, okay, well, 60% or 50% has now
Mm-hmm.
been done by AI. We have a decision to make. Do we now merge the rest of these tasks into other portfolios and
Mm-hmm.
make this role redundant, or do we keep on, double spending, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're double spending, are we getting exactly what we need to get out of it? So we're going to start seeing AI automation start to chip away at so much of these tasks
Mm-hmm.
that businesses are going to have to start rethinking exactly what start becoming
Yeah.
leaner and start figuring out, what tasks are actually important and essential to the running of the business, what we can, bring AI on to do parts of, and then what we can merge the rest of the tasks
Mhm.
into the rest of the remaining staff that we decide to keep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And as things change, I mean, I think part of what we wanted to talk to you about too, I mean, with the idea of skills being retired. So, of course, the message is start researching,
Yeah.
your job title, your job function,
Mhm.
start to learn and think about where things might be heading for you or where things are, as Karen
Mhm.
mentioned, in
Yes.
other parts of the world. And therefore, um, you create some plans in terms of, well, what direction I'd like to go, or start speaking
Yes.
or learning or networking so that you can start to understand where you can go. And this idea of this digital nomad. I think, Karen, you also mentioned, also think about where the jobs might be.
Ah,
So
there.
that's something
Mhm.
also to think about, right?
Mhm.
So I feel like, bringing that side of your experience into this conversation, Karen. Talk to us a little bit about that and what you see and what your experience has been like in Thailand so far as a digital nomad over there.
Mhm.
Yeah, so let's start with, what is a digital nomad in 2026? Most people still think, when they think of the digital nomad, they think of the backpacker that
Mhm.
is, trekking across countries. They're not stable. They have no routine. They're just all over the place. And that's what a digital nomad was for, probably up until about 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And as of 2 years ago, the major change that happened, right, is just the maturity of the market and technologies, and where the world is heading. So because more jobs are being able to be done remotely, right, and that's giving more people the ability to move and work and live anywhere, what countries started to do as of the last 2 years ago was they've now started to roll out specific digital nomad visas.
Uh-huh.
And part of why the countries are rolling out digital nomad visas is that we want to give you a long-term visa to attract you, right? And if we can attract you and we can give you everything that you would want for you and your family, or for your business, or whatever you need, you are going to be coming with your job, with
Mhm.
your capital, with your knowledge, with your skill sets, and now you're going to be resettling and spending all of your money in that particular country.
Mhm.
Right.
And then one huge caveat to nomad visa is that they prohibit you from working in the country, and your money cannot originate from that country,
Ah, okay.
right? So I can't take away any local jobs. That's the most important part.
Okay.
Right.
I cannot take away any local jobs from the citizens, right?
Mhm.
The only thing I can do is work for people or have clients outside of the country, and I can bring that money. I'm going to be spending all that money. So that directly impacts countries' GDP, which is why the new digital nomads and these nomad visas are now being held as like the holy grail, for the types of people that they want to attract. When you start looking at how immigration has changed over the last 2 years,
Mhm.
you're starting to see a lot of new visas coming
Mhm.
on. Now you're seeing companies roll out digital nomad visas. They're rolling out what is being called the talent visas. So talent visas, like Thailand has one, Vietnam has one. They list out a bunch of different skill sets that they want. They're saying, hey, you see these 100 skill
Yeah.
sets? We need them.
Yeah.
If you have them, apply for this visa and come and live in our country,
Right.
because we want you, right?
Yeah. I think Canada
So
has
when
those as
you're
well.
thinking about,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
again, so all of these things are rewriting how we work, how we earn, and where we live. And as you said, Emily, looking at, where the jobs are, we have the beautiful advantage, and at times a disadvantage, what, because we live in the Caribbean. We're a small island developing states,
Mhm.
so there's only so much that you can do, right? What we're seeing a lot of is people have gone away for schooling. You've gotten the degree, you've gotten the education, you've gotten the experience, but then you come back to the Caribbean and you're like, great, I'm ready to be back home. I'm ready to move the needle and make the change. And then you realize the companies and the industries haven't caught up to even bring your skill
Right.
sets into the fold, and you're just way too far ahead.
Mhm.
So what do? You want to live at home, you want to be at home, you want to build up, but if the opportunities for your specific industry and skill set are not there, then you need to start looking to see where in the world those jobs are.
Mhm.
So we in the Caribbean, we have to start playing a bit of catch up because the rest of the world is a few steps ahead. Where now they're looking at passports and visas as instruments
Mhm.
to gain access to markets and instruments to gain access to infrastructure. Meanwhile, in the Caribbean, we still look at a passport and a visa as, well, that's just for traveling,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We're not thinking about the economic and the opportunity factors that passports and visas come with. So for us as a digital nomad, I'm now looking at what are a couple of countries
Mhm.
that have a digital nomad visa, what country with that particular visa, what's going to give me access to banking, what's going to give me
Yeah.
access to business community, what's going to give me access to clients. I'm probably not going to have, because if, I mean, think about your own passports, how many visas you have. I have a US visa. I have a Thailand visa. I'll probably end up with 5 or 6 visas, all because I'm thinking on a global
Right.
scale. Where are the opportunities? Where are the jobs? Where are the clients? Who can I use? What visa to get access to what banking? This is how we have to start thinking because this is where the world is and where it's going.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's a huge and widening perspective for people listening or looking on. I think a lot of us may not think that broadly at all
Yeah.
in terms of
That's it.
where we
We
can
never
go,
we
what
never
we can
need to.
do.
We never have
Yeah,
to.
and even people who go off to school, as you said, a lot of people, unless you work, you end up working in the country that you end up going to school at. Not that many of
Mhm.
us, I think, exploring the way that you are exploring and talking about living and working in different countries, and
Mhm.
interestingly, living and working in a country that you don't even work for.
Mhm. Yeah. And the other thing, it's a pity that in the Caribbean we are not now attracting other people to come into our countries as digital nomads, so that we'll
Yeah,
capture that investment in the country and grow our
yeah.
GDP. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's
such a
something I
pity.
think the countries need to look at because we have
Yeah.
so much potential in our
Mhm.
region in terms of what will attract people to want to have
Bar-
Yeah.
this lifestyle. Yeah,
Barbados is actually one the leading country in the Caribbean that has a digital nomad visa. It's
Mhm.
called the Welcome Stamp.
Right.
So they started it off in COVID and they were seeing some good returns from it. So they kept it. And again, we are in the Caribbean. It's the closest to the
Yes.
Western world that has amazing
yeah,
weather. It's an easy sell for many of our islands that we should be really ramping up, but it's going to take our leadership to understand what do digital nomads need
Yes.
today. Because when you look at the Thailands of the world, the Spains, the Portugals, and how they have constructed their digital nomad visas, they have built it to really add to the country.
Mhm.
But if you look at the best cases, Mexico City 2 years ago, they were pretty much in riots because they attracted too much digital
Ah.
nomads but had none of the infrastructure in
mhm,
place. So it became a new age gentrification happening in Mexico City.
Mhm.
And they are now the poster child for what not to do when building out your
Okay.
communities for digital nomads. So if we're not careful in the Caribbean, I can quickly see us ending up like Mexico City
Mhm.
and not like Thailand or Vietnam or any of the other countries that are finding major success with their digital nomad
mhm.
programs.
Yeah.
And I guess the success comes from integrating the people coming in, but allowing the growth and development for the locals. So it's like that's what you're
Yes.
talking about
Yeah,
when you say
Yes.
success, right?
yeah. So there's that balance,
That's the
right? So what
balance.
you have is in Thailand, most of the country speaks Thai. Most of them do not speak English, right?
Mhm.
However, you're gonna find a lot more English being spoken in the key tourist
Yeah.
areas,
Mhm.
Bangkok, Phuket, Chiang Mai. So we're not necessarily gonna go to just any city or any province because
Right.
if there's nobody that speaks the language, unless you speak Thai, you're gonna struggle
Mhm.
dramatically over there, right? But you have to have that as a part of your framework. Where are people typically going to settle? are we going to put the resources to ensure that we have a lot more English people speaking here? We have a lot of people in Thailand and Bangkok that are buying up property so that they can start to rent it out to people
Uh-huh.
because of the amount of migration that are
Okay.
coming in. So there's a lot of opportunities. But again, I would love to see our governments really look at the full scope of everything that they need
Mm-hmm.
so they can properly zone correctly, give the right infrastructure, the right security, ensure that internet connections are what they need to be in known areas. Like for
Mm-hmm.
us in Trinidad and Tobago, Tobago would be like Tobago should be like digital nomad haven,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
It should be digital nomad haven. When you think about in Jamaica, not necessarily Kingston, but think about
Mm-hmm.
on the
Negril.
other side of the island. There's a in the grid,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
These are spots that you could really build up as digital nomad hotspots
Mm-hmm.
and give them all the right infrastructure in those pockets,
Mm-hmm.
and we can see some real returns from it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
And
a
I guess
matter of us now thinking, where I lay my head, that's where I'm going to make my bread. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. Because I mean, like I said, so now what people should be doing is if you jump on the Future of Jobs report, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 300 pages. Most people are not going to read it. But here's the simplest thing to do. You download that report,
Mm-hmm.
you throw it into your favorite AI tool, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Gemini, whatever you
Right.
want to do, upload the file in there and you give the prompt, hey, analyze this document and I want you to ask me 10 questions to help me pick out the next career field that would be best suited for me moving forward.
Good.
And that is going to now interview you, but then it's going to line you up with one of the new job titles that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can start to plan in terms of how you're going to upskill or how you're going to reskill and then chart a course for moving into that field. And then also ask the question, which is the best country for this skill sets, and then that's going to start to open your eyes up to other situations. It's never been easier to migrate and move. It took me 2 weeks to migrate.
Wow.
The process to get my visa, the process to get my 5-year Thailand visa was 2 weeks, and I was on a plane in week 3 signing a
wow.
signing a contract
That
for my lease.
yeah.
But because we're so accustomed to the process for Canada,
And
the
you.
UK, the US,
Mm-hmm.
again, when we think of immigration and
Right.
opportunities, we already think of a Mount Everest sized obstacle
Mm-hmm.
that we can't just do. And immigration today or migration today is a lot more accessible if you have the right skill sets.
Right.
We're also seeing a lot more people you're seeing, or a lot more countries you're seeing citizenship by investment. So come and buy our passport. We're seeing that right throughout the Caribbean region,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? So all of these things beyond just travel are giving us access to infrastructure and new opportunities. And for us to start finding success this year and moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
that is the level of thinking that we have to have when we're thinking about our careers, our businesses. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck in a small island developing region that is in a dire need of foreign investment.
Yeah.
So whether you're staying in the
Mhm.
region, you need to upskill, but learn how to start getting paid by companies outside of
Outside.
the region so
Mm-hmm.
we can bring that money in.
Right.
And if you have gone to school or upskilled and you just cannot get something locally, like for example, teachers. Emily, I know you know this in Trinidad.
Mm-hmm.
People graduate as a teacher and wait 10 years
Yes,
before they even get a call.
that's true.
They could Teaching is the easiest job to get around the world, where you can just go and get your TEFL certification
Mm-hmm.
teaching English as a foreign language,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can go teach math, English, or any one of these subjects in any one of these
Mm-hmm.
countries, where you're going to get paid in US dollars, but then you're also going to get the experience and you're working within your field. So now that international experience, when you do decide to come back to the region, you are upskilled, you have money, and you can add more to the conversation locally, and that's how we can grow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Carol,
And I
I think you
mean,
just
we
was the
can talk.
action.
Well, yes, and I was
Say
going to
again?
say, yes, that is a call to action, people. So you could rewind, pause, when you get the recording.
Yes.
Listen to it very slowly, make notes.
Mhm.
Right? That is the call to action right there if you're an individual. And if you're a business, I mean, you will probably be looking at ways to automate and ways to improve your business. But I think in that same World Economic Report, it talks about the one of the biggest impediments to business is the skills gap that would be there. So
Yeah.
you also have to now plan to see how you're gonna, you know, bridge that gap for your
Mhm.
employees and what skills you need to bring in to
Mhm.
allow you to make that jump, right? And the jump is getting bigger and bigger, so we need to make we need to start making the
Mhm.
jumps, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so Karen, I mean, thank you for taking the time. I know you got is it a flight to catch? Yes, you got a flight to catch just now. So and as he showed us, he's literally in the airport heading to Hong Kong, I think it is.
Mhm.
So, people, I hope you listen to this. And if you, as I said, the call to action really is to go back and listen again. This World Economic Report was from January 2025, and we are in January 2026, and the World Economic Forum is going to be meeting again this month because they meet every
Mhm.
January. So a new report is coming out, and AI would have gone leaps and bounds in the year
Mhm.
between
Yes.
the two.
Then and
So
now.
yeah, so even what we are speaking of now is already changing. And what we want you to do is not be afraid of the change, but
Yes.
to embrace the change.
Mhm.
Actually, in the report, it talked about a lot of things like resilience and agility and flexibility being skills we have to develop and things that
Yeah.
they would look for. And analytical skills always being the top skill
Mhm.
that any employer wants. All these are very much things that you can develop. So it is not lost at all.
Not
It
at
should be
all.
exciting. Maybe try to see if you could find some excitement there because there are possibilities. And we want you to think possibilities and start looking for them. Karen put a nice roadmap in terms of how you can use AI to help
Mhm.
you do that for yourself individually. So I would recommend you go back, as I said, rewind, listen, and try what he said. And you'll be
Yes.
surprised, probably shocked at the response that you get from whichever
I'll throw
whichever
this.
platform.
I'll throw this in for your. I'll throw this in for your audience. The most important skill for everybody, doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter what field you are in, doesn't matter. The most important skill that you have to learn, non-negotiable, is you need to learn how to learn in today's day and
Mhm.
age, because things are changing at the drop of a dime. I'm in marketing and e-commerce. Every hour there is an announcement, because if it's not social media, it's chat GPT.
Right.
All of
That's
these
true.
things are changing marketing, e-commerce. Every hour there's an announcement, and I have to figure out, okay, how am I going to keep on the pulse of everything,
Mhm.
because that's what I get paid to do, right? To stay on the pulse. But then I also have to learn, I have to implement, so I can get hands-on experience and actually get my own results, so that I'm always teaching from my lived experience and not from a textbook. Because guess what, folks? The textbook isn't even written for what is going on in the world today,
That's true. That's true. That's true.
right?
Still behind. Still
So,
behind. Yeah.
yeah, so learning how to learn is the number
Mhm.
one skill I think everybody needs to learn, because if you do not know how to learn and keep pace with the rate of change that we
Mhm.
are happening, there's I don't even know what you would do. I can't even. We are already seeing this year the lowest amount of entry level jobs in our history, because a lot of them are being removed due to just automation, robotics,
Mhm.
technology, you name it, right?
Mhm.
So don't be
Right.
fearful, but this is a good time. If you ever felt like you had to do 4 years of a degree to go and upskill, no, now it could take, 30 to 100 hours of YouTube watching and testing something out to go and become a Canvas specialist. And now you're making graphics and content for businesses, because George
Yes.
and Emily don't have the time to do it, so they outsource
Yes.
it to you.
That's true. That's true. So, Karen, it is learning, unlearning, and relearning. Yeah.
That's
There
it.
you go.
That's it.
Well,
So
that's a wrap.
yeah, that is a wrap. Karen, thank you for the time. Guys, welcome to 2026.
Yes.
Y'all wanted some work on some one of the feedback we got was about careers, and you got it straight
Mhm.
away on the very first episode. So
Yep.
again, thank you, and yes, thank you for showing us that beautiful
Yes.
airport that you are
No
in.
worries.
Look at that
This is this
airport.
this this is how work is now.
Yes.
Okay, so everyone have a wonderful rest of the week, and don't forget to do the call to action. All right,
Yes.
thank you,
Thank you
and
so much.
take
Take care,
care.
Karen.
Yes, all the
Take
best.
care.